Let me tell you about the night I finally trapped Patricia Whitmore, the woman who tried to take everything from me in my own root cellar. And trust me, you've never heard a story about an HOA president like this one. It was 2:47 a.m. when my phone buzzed on the nightstand, a security camera alert. There she was, Patricia, president of our local HOA, hunched over the padlock to my root cellar bolt cutters in one hand, flashlight in the other, swinging that designer purse like she was above the law. She didn't know I'd been expecting her for months. I'd watched her chip away at me little by little, pushing me closer to the edge. Violation notices for grass, just a hair too tall, threats of daily fines, demands that I tear down the cellar I built myself after a back injury ended my Marine Corps career. She'd brag to anyone who'd listen that she'd make an example out of the non-compliant veteran me. But that night, Patricia finally crossed a line. She walked straight into the trap I'd been waiting to set. What happened next? Let's just say karma showed up right on time. If you've ever had some power-hungry HOA president push you around, you're going to want to hear this. And I'd love to know where you're watching from, and if you've got a story wilder than mine. My name's Marcus Sullivan Mack to my friends or to anyone who actually gives a damn. I'm 52, a disabled Marine living on VA benefits in Millbrook Heights, Kentucky. Used to be all farmland here before developers carved up the earth and sold it off for suburban dreams. But I've held on to my 3 acres right in the middle, a stubborn old holdout who told the developers to shove their checkbooks 15 years ago. That root cellar, I built it myself, inch by inch, after my back gave out and my days of swinging a hammer were over. Took me 8 months, 15 minutes at a time between pain flares, but I got it done. Proper foundation, ADA, ramp, temperature control, the works. That cellar is more than just shelves of preserved food. It's my independence, my safety net. When the VA check runs thin, I know there's $800 worth of vegetables and canned goods waiting down there. And that smell, cool earth rubber, that musty, self-reliant air, it smells like freedom. The kind you earn by not relying on anyone. Then Patricia Whitmore showed up. 48, 6 years running as HOA president, and the kind of real estate shark who drives a white BMW with vanity plates that read "sold for you." Her nails cost more than my grocery budget. Always smells like some French perfume I can't pronounce. She likes to remind people that her husband Rye is the county commissioner, like that's a get-out-of-jail-free card. Maybe it was until she picked the wrong target. My first official contact with Patricia came one Tuesday in March. I was out checking my tomatoes, minding my own, when I heard those designer heels clicking on gravel like a timer counting down. I turn around, there she is, power suit, clipboard, staring at my cellar like it was a crime scene. "Mr. Sullivan," she says, "we need to discuss your situation." She hands me a violation notice, unsightly agricultural structure, diminishing property values, $50 fine, 30 days to remove. Sun glinted off her wedding ring, probably worth more than my truck. I read the notice, looked her right in the eye. "Ma'am, this cellar was here before your HOA. Doesn't that mean it's grandfathered in?" She gave me this smile, sharp enough to cut glass. "Not according to current community standards, Mr. Sullivan. I'm sure someone with your background understands the importance of proper procedures." The way she said background, like being a Marine, was something to whisper about. That perfume hung around for 10 minutes after she left, as fake as everything else about her. Patricia didn't realize Marines don't roll over easy. We document, we prep, and we wait for our shot. The harassment started right away. Week 2, grass violation 3.1 inches when the limit's 3.0, $75. I mow my lawn better than half this neighborhood, but Patricia had found her angle. Next week, mailbox paint's too faded, then garden hose visible from the street. By month 2, I owed $425 in fines for violations she basically invented. But it wasn't about the money. It was about the pattern. Patricia studied my property like a general, walked the fence line, measured the cellar from every angle, took pictures of my ramp, the ventilation, the lock on my cellar door. That's when I knew this wasn't just a power trip. She was planning something bigger. April brought her first escalation official intimidation. I'm drinking coffee when a county truck pulls up 2 guys in hard hats. "Mr. Sullivan, I'm Tom Bradley, County Building Inspector. We received a complaint about unpermitted construction." His partner starts snapping photos, not just quick shots, he's mapping the place. This is a complaint-driven inspection. Just need a quick look inside. Now, if there's one thing the Marines teach you, it's to recognize when you're being set up. These guys took 47 pictures, measured everything, but never asked about safety. This wasn't about code. It was about recon. Tell you what, Tom, call me this afternoon. We'll schedule something proper with a warrant. They left faces red. Later, I hit the courthouse, dug through public records, and found the real story, a development application from Whitmore Holdings, LLC, for a residential project pending land acquisition. Patricia wasn't just harassing me. She was prepping for a $500,000 land grab. Every fine, every inspection was about making my cellar disappear for her project. The next week, utility company shows up. Mr. Sullivan, there's a safety complaint about your wiring. Young guy reading a script. That's not an extension cord, it's a buried cable permits from 1998. I handed him a stack of paperwork an inch thick. He went pale. Whoever filed that complaint didn't know what they were doing. No, Eddie, they knew exactly what they were doing. That's when I started noticing Patricia's BMW cruising past twice a week every week. One Tuesday, she parked down the block, snuck up, and fiddled with my padlock just seconds. But enough. When people start mapping your property, they're planning an assault. I called my neighbor Diesel, another Marine. Brother, I need that security upgrade we talked about. Expecting trouble. Counting on it. May came and Patricia switched to psychological warfare anonymous letters in my mailbox. Your neighbors are talking. Maybe it's time you moved somewhere more suitable for your condition. No signature, just poison. She'd even turned the neighbors into weapons, dropping hints that maybe the veteran down the block was unstable. Mrs. Henderson from next door showed up one day. Patricia's worried you're spending too much time underground. Maybe it's not healthy for someone with your background. Patricia was weaponizing the neighborhood's kindness, turning my disability into evidence of instability. By Friday, the health department was on my porch. Potential food safety violations. Brenda, the inspector, looked exhausted. I let her in. She checked my cellar, saw the organization, the temperature control, and shook her head. This is a textbook example of proper home preservation. I asked to see the complaint Anonymous submitted minutes after I'd refused Patricia's latest request to survey my cellar. Patricia was desperate, throwing government agencies at me, hoping something would stick. That night I sat on my porch reviewing the week. Patricia was escalating, but she was making mistakes, leaving digital fingerprints on every fake complaint. Time to start building my own case. June came. Patricia tried to turn the whole neighborhood against me. At the HOA barbecue, I showed up for the first time in months. Diesel's idea. If you hide, she controls the narrative. I watched Patricia move through the crowd, all concerned neighborly talk. I'm worried about max isolation. Veterans sometimes struggle with authority. Pure poison. But her biggest mistake. She tried to recruit Diesel as Mac's closest friend. Have you noticed changes? Diesel looked her dead in the eye. The only problem Mac has is you harassing him for building a root cellar. That stung. But Patricia countered hard. Next morning, I found my truck's tires slashed. Not random. Precise cuts, the kind only a professional would make. Then came the call from the VA. Reports of instability need updated disability assessments. Patricia had gone nuclear. She was trying to get my federal benefits yanked. But she'd made the mistake I needed. She'd created a federal paper trail. False reports to the VA. That's a crime. I called Sarah Finley, attorney at the Disabled Veterans Legal Aid Clinic. Mr. Sullivan, this is harassment time to get federal investigators involved. That was the moment I stopped playing defense. The breakthrough came at the courthouse. I overheard Patricia thinking no one was listening. Final approval depends on clearing the Sullivan property. The seller interferes with our drainage plan. Her investor. If you can't deliver clear title, we'll need other options. Patricia, my husband's position provides certain advantages. Code enforcement inspections. If legal doesn't work, there are other strategies. She talked about unfortunate accidents, gas leaks, foundation collapses. Sometimes these things just happen. I recorded the whole thing. That night I called Sarah. This is prosecutorial gold, she said. Conspiracy, bribery, federal civil rights violations. Patricia's facing decades. But I wasn't done yet. Patricia still had one card left: direct action. I upgraded the security. Hidden cameras, audio mics, military-grade electronic locks. Diesel helped me set up everything, a fortress basically. The trap was set. Then I baited it. I called Patricia, played dumb. Maybe I'll let you survey the cellar. Maybe there's something valuable down there, old family secrets. She took the bait. Tuesday night, she drove past 3 times testing the locks. Wednesday, I got a call, last chance to do this the easy way. Cash deal, 300 grand, you keep the cellar. Above market value just to make her nightmare go away. Thursday, deputy comes by for a weapons check, Patricia using her husband's last scraps of influence to set me up for a fall. Friday. Mrs. Finley from down the street, I heard Patricia telling her sister she's going to handle it herself soon. Patricia had made herself desperate, and desperate people make mistakes. That night I sat in the kitchen watching security feeds. Patricia made 4 drive-bys, parked blocks away, snuck through yards, tried her keys. She thought she was prepared, but she didn't know about the deadbolts she couldn't see. Sunday, Patricia called tonight 2 or 3 a.m. I'll handle everything personally. I spent the afternoon making sure everything was ready. That night felt like the calm before a storm. 10:30 p.m. motion sensor in Mrs. Finley's backyard. Patricia dressed in black hair under a cap, carrying bolt cutters, moving like a cat burglar. She spent 10 minutes on the lock. At 2:17 a.m., Patricia stepped inside the cellar designer shoes, clicking on the stairs, flashlight beam darting across shelves. She started searching, muttering, "Where is it? Nobody fights this hard over damn vegetables." I watched her through the hidden camera, reached for my phone, and tapped the app. Steel bolts slid home with a quiet thunk. 4 minutes later, thump, thump, thump on the door. "Hello?" The door is stuck. I sip my coffee. She started yelling threats, bargaining even pleas. "Mac, let me out. This is kidnapping. It was a citizen's arrest. She tried everything. I'll drop the HOA violations. We can forget all this." 15 minutes later, she was pleading, "Please, Mac, I'm sorry. I know I went too far." At 4:00 a.m., I called Kentucky State Police. "There's an intruder in my root cellar, contained and unharmed. Please send someone." They showed up, lights flashing, a whole squad of officers thanks to Patricia's connections. I handed over the security footage, her approach, cutting the lock, entering without permission, muttering about paranoid veterans. Open and shut. They opened the door. Patricia stumbled out, clothes, wrinkled hair, wild makeup running, stinking of pickled beets. "Arrest him," she screamed. "Kidnapping." The officers just looked at the evidence, then at her. "Ma'am, why were you here with burglary tools at 3:00 a.m.? She tried to lie. I played the phone call recording. "I'll handle everything personally." Handcuffs clicked. I don't think I've ever heard a sound more satisfying. Patricia pled guilty, 18 months in state prison, 5 years probation, $25,000 restitution. Her license revoked, business gone, marriage blown up. The neighborhood changed overnight, no more clipboard tyranny. Maria Santos took over the HOA, led by consensus instead of fear. My cellar became a local landmark. Kids came to learn about food preservation, and neighbors finally started acting like neighbors. But the real victory, Patricia spent months proving that a disabled vet couldn't defend his ground against money and power. She was wrong. Now my root cellar still smells like self-reliance. Patricia's prison cell probably smells like bleach and regret. If there's a lesson here, it's that justice can be slow, but it always shows up. Sometimes wearing a badge, sometimes wearing a pair of old boots, and a stubborn smile. If you're fighting your own neighborhood tyrant, document everything, know your rights, and don't be afraid to stand your ground. Bullies always reveal themselves in the end. So what do you think? Did Patricia get what she deserved? Where's the line between justice and revenge? Drop your wildest HOA story below. Let's see whose is crazier. And if you've ever had to fight for your home, you're not alone. Hit subscribe if you want more stories about ordinary folks who refuse to bow down to petty dictators.